Hello all history buffs. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm taking you on a journey through time to discover some curiosities about the Middle Ages that you probably didn't know. Prepare to be amazed. In times long gone, when castles dominated the landscape and knights paraded in shining armor, there were rules of behavior so bizarre that they make modern etiquette manuals seem like the stuff of amateurs. Imagine a time when etiquette dictated every single gesture, from the formal greeting to the most intimate details of daily life. Rules so absurd that today they seem to come from a theatrical comedy. Have you ever thought about living in a time when even sneezing had a precise protocol? Today I'll take you on a discovery of the strangest etiquette rules of the Middle Ages. But first, leave a super like and let's begin this journey into the absurd. In the 10th century, a simple please or thank you was not enough to be considered well-mannered. Daniel of Beccles, who today would no doubt have a YouTube channel on etiquette, wrote a poetic work called Liber Urbani, a true manual of behavior for nobles and aspiring nobles. Among the rules, one in particular seems like a joke. Do not bring your horse into other people's houses. Yes, you understood correctly. At the time, it was a common practice among the roughest peasants. Other tips? Avoid scratching yourself in public. And above all, no flea removal at the table. Even if they were a real accessory of the time, etiquette was still sacred. And during banquets, golden rule, do not pee in the dining room unless you are the guest of honor. Yes, it was a way, apparently, to demonstrate dominance over the place. If your boss's wife started making advances, the best solution was to feign illness. Stammer, tremble, scratch your chin as if you were possessed. Better to be the village weirdo than end up on the gallows. Being educated in the Middle Ages required a certain amount of performance art, but at least those who survived had fun. Maybe. For women, the Middle Ages were a minefield. Christine de Pizan, one of the few female voices of the time, tried to teach how to preserve dignity and survival. Among the advice, marrying men who were already reformed, widowers or veterans of love, a strategic choice. The Church, for its part, supported unions with repentant former sinners, a marriage, a salvation. But be careful with laughing. Yes, laughing too much was considered dangerous for women. It was thought that it could dislocate the uterus. The solution to keeping a husband at home? Pretend that everything was fine. Dead cow? Silence? Rebellious servant? Apparent peace? The ignorance of the head of the family was considered a value. And if all this were not enough, women were required to walk without making any noise. The feminine ideal was invisible and silent, literally a ghost in a skirt. Medieval aesthetics? A minefield. Giovanni Battista della Porta, a 15th century alchemist, offered recipes that would make any dermatologist shudder today. Want blonde hair? Use saffron and caustic soda. Black hair? Simple. Leave leeches in the sun for 2 months, immersed in red wine. The result? Dark hair and perhaps poisoning. But it doesn't end there. Giovanni was convinced he could catch deer with a well-played flute. And for an elephant, just dig a hole, put 4 elephants in it, and wait. Zoology, theater, madness, a mix all its own. In the Middle Ages, love was regulated by real laws. Andrea Capellano, a cleric of the 10th century, wrote De Amore, a treatise on who could love and how. According to him, blind people could not love because love comes from the eyes. Exception? If the lover had already seen the beloved before losing his sight. Love was reserved for the elite. Peasants were too busy with turnips and plagues. And married women, they could love as long as they were sufficiently unhappy. But perhaps the most fascinating theory came from Gaston the Saint, who believed that dogs could communicate perfectly. The problem? Humans didn't know how to listen. The truest love? Maybe it really did come from a dog wagging its tail. And so ends our journey through the dusty halls and bizarre codes of medieval etiquette. A world where the line between civilization and comedy was very thin, and where it was enough to scratch yourself at the wrong time to be considered a barbarian. An era in which elegance was measured in decibels, preferably 0, and love was regulated like a notarial contract. We have immersed ourselves in a Middle Ages that you don't find in school books, that of horses hosted in the house, of fleas as involuntary ornaments, and of courtship rituals more intricate than a law treatise, where the greatest risk was not only the plague, but also getting the posture wrong at the table or laughing too much in the presence of others. We met curious characters, from poets of etiquette to love coaches, from dermatologically questionable alchemists to theorists of canine emotions. And we realized that as absurd as these customs seem to us today, they actually made perfect sense to those who lived there. But if you look closely, maybe we are not so different. Even today, we have our strange rules, our digital etiquettes, our social etiquettes to respect on WhatsApp, at the table, or in the comments of a YouTube video. The form changes, but the desire to appear polite, acceptable, and well-liked remains the same. And now, a question for you. If you had been catapulted into that era, would you have managed to live as a nobleman, respecting the code, or would you have quickly ended up in the dock for excessive spontaneity? Better to spend the day walking like silent ghosts, or risk exile for one laugh too many. That's all for today. I hope this video made you understand the strangeness of medieval customs. Were they so different? The Middle Ages is full of these strange curiosities, but it was also represented by crazy characters. You can find all this in the channel, and much more, such as families discussed for their brutal actions or for incest. In short, the Middle Ages is a curious era and full of facts to discover. I'll wait for you in the next videos. If you are new, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. See you next time. Bye.